So what is slope? Okay. Slope, this is considered, you'll hear people say rise over run. Okay. So when you're looking at it on a graph, you're thinking the rise, all right, which is your y-axis, your run, which is your x-axis. Okay. So what this exactly is this is the change in y over, and it's written as a fraction, the change in x. Okay, it's your rise over your run. So the change in y, so how your y values change over your change in x, how your x values change. Okay, so you would subtract those values to see what their change is. And we'll look at that formula here in just a second. Okay, so what types of slope do we have? Okay, we have a couple types of slope. So we're going to draw little graphs here. They're going to be very mini graphs. Don't pay attention to my artwork. So the first type of slope is a positive slope. Positive slope, our line is going up from left to right. Because again, you're going to you read math, you read graphs just like you read a book. Okay, left to right, top to bottom. Okay, so read left to right. The slope is going up from left to right. So it has a positive slope. All right. Our next type of slope is a negative slope. All right, so a negative slope is going to be going down from left to right. Okay, so from left to right, our slope is going down. Our next slope is when our slope equals 0. Okay, slope is 0. It is a horizontal line. So your slope is 0. This is a horizontal line. All right, and that equation here, okay, this is going to be your equation. I'll put EQ. It's going to be y equals a number. Any number, okay? Y equals a number. So an example of that would be, say, y equals 7. If this is y equals 7, it's a horizontal line. You go on y, go to 7, straight across. So any horizontal line has a slope of 0, and your equation would be y equals just a number. All right? And our last one this is going to be undefined slope. Undefined is a vertical line. Okay? This is going to be any vertical line. All right, and your equation here, I'll write that up here. Your equation will be x equals a number. Okay, so an example of that would be x equals 4. That's a horizontal, that's a vertical line, okay, undefined slope. Here's a little trick to think about this, okay? You think about a wall in a classroom. All right, walls in the classroom are vertical, they're vertical walls. Can you walk up that wall? No, you cannot. And no, yes, I understand Spider-Man can, but you right now could not stand up and go and just start putting your feet and walk up your wall. Okay, it's not possible. The floor that you're sitting on is horizontal. It's a horizontal plane. You can stand up and walk on your floor. So if you can walk on this line, that means it has some sort of slope. If you cannot walk on that line, meaning it's vertical, you can't do it, it's undefined, meaning we can't do that. Okay? So these are four types of slope: positive, negative, zero slope, which has a horizontal line, and undefined slope, which is a vertical line. Okay? So our four different types of slope there. Now, how do we find slope? Okay? So finding slope. We just had to get that information in first to get to this information. Okay? So how to find slope from 2 points. Okay? So they give you 2 points. You're going to use what we call slope formula. And slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? What these are points. Okay? These are points on any type of graph or a line, and we would use those 2 points to find slope. Okay? So, when we have 2 points, say you have 1 point x1, y1, and x2, y2. Okay? Those would be our 2 points. And all we would do here is substitute and solve. Okay? That's it. You would just substitute. So whatever y2 is, take y2, put it here. Whatever y1 is, take y1, put it here. Whatever x2 is, put it here. And whatever x1 is, you put it here. Okay? So we'll do an example of this. All right? So we'll do an easy one. Example 1. All right, so our example here. Let's say we have 2 points. We're going to find slope. And let's say we have -1, 3, and 2, 5. All right, we're going to find the slope of this line. So step 1, and you don't have to do this step. I always say do this step because it makes it easier on a lot of people. Label. So when I label, I'm going to label just like I did up here. I'm going to take this point. I'll say x1, y1, x2, y2. Why would I label? I label because it shows me this is x1, this goes here. This is y1, this goes here. Okay? And then, of course, the second step, we're going to substitute and solve. All right, so my formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Y2 is 5 minus y1, which is 3, over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is -1. 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 minus -1. These two negatives cancel each other to make a positive. So then 2 plus 1 is 3. Therefore, the slope of the line that these 2 points are on is going to equal 2/3. Okay. This means my rise over run. If I go back to the top, it means on my graph I would go up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, and tells me all those points. Okay. So if you have a graph and you're finding slope from that graph, you can either pick 2 points and use this formula, or you can just count from point to point. Okay. All right. So I'll show you from a graph. So slope from graph. And I'm just going to sketch a little small graph here. Let's just go here. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's say I have a point here and a point here And this is my line. That is not good at all. That is terrible. Close enough. Anyway, so I have a point here and a point here. Put that blade all the way through. No, it's okay. So if I was to find this slope, all we would do is count point to point. Okay? So when we count point to point, we're going to do our rise, which is y, our y-axis, over my run, which is my x. All right? So when we count, I'm going to start at this point, and I'm going here. I'm making me a little track. So I'm going up 1, 2. So I went up 2 points. Up means positive because we went up. So we went up 2. And then my run, from here to this point, I went over 1, 2. So I went up 2, over 2. So we went 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, when you do your run horizontally, it's like a number line. If I go right, it's positive. If I go left, it's negative. So I went right 2, which is positive 2. And when I reduce this, we can divide them both by 2. You would get 1 over 1. So this would have a slope of 1 or 1 over 1. Okay? Or you could just choose those points and plug them into the formula like we did earlier. Okay? All right, the next one, slope from formulas. So an important formula to know, and that I'm sure we all know, is slope intercept form. All right, slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b. If your formula is in this form, okay, you don't have to do anything. If it'll say like, what is the slope of this line? And it gives it to you in this form. M, whatever M is your slope. All right. And whatever B is, this is my y-intercept. Okay, this is when x equals 0. All right. So, for example, if it said, what is the slope of y equals negative 3x plus 9? Well, I know it's a slope-intercept form because it's the form of y equals something x plus something. Okay? Whatever that number in front of x is, right here. So the slope of this, or the answer to this question, m equals negative 3. This line has a slope of negative 3, which is negative 3 over 1, which means I would go down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. This would have a negative slope because this slope is a negative number. All right. Another formula is point slope form. This is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay. Notice we have the y1 and the x1. Okay. This is when you just have 1 point, all right, and the slope, or they just give you 1 point, and they want you to find the slope. Okay, and this can be done here. All right, so basically again here, your x1 and y1, this is obviously a point. Okay, just like in the previous example here, your m that is your slope. So if I give you this equation and I had the y1, the x1, and the m all filled in, what would be your slope? The m, that would be whatever your slope is. Okay, whatever goes there for that m, that will be your slope. And this is point slope form. Okay, obviously it's called point slope because they would give you a point and a slope, and you can change that into this form. Okay, and we can change formulas back and forth from each other depending on the situation, but we'll get into that until a later date. All right. Last part here, I promise. I know I've fed you all a lot of information. Slope from a table. The way to do slope from a table is I can really only show you by giving you an example. Okay. So an example would say find the rate of change. A key word there to let you know they're looking for slope is rate. Okay, we're looking for a rate, like a rate of speed. Okay, that could be a slope because that's miles per hour. You could put that on a graph. Okay, how many miles you're going to go per how many hours. Okay, that's a rate. That can be a slope. Okay, so rate, this could mean slope. All right, so our table could look something like this: miles traveled, and charge. So maybe we're like an Uber driver, that's how much we charge per mile. Okay, so we could say 1, 2, 3, 4 miles. And this one we're going to charge $14, $21, $28, and $35. Now, some of you would look at this and you would get really confused. And here's why. Because you don't have any X's or Y's here. You wouldn't know what to plug in where. If I gave you this and told you to find a rate of change, maybe you would think, oh, I need to use slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can do that. Okay? This is the same as if I replace miles traveled with x and I replace charge with y. Guess what? A lot of you all will be able to solve this very, very, very easily. Okay? It's all about perception. All right? So if I was to find the slope here, okay, I know I would have m equals, and I know my formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? But Mr. Reed, there's a lot of information here. Yeah, I can just pick 2 points. X and a Y, this is 1 point. X and a Y, here's another point. There's 4 points here. You just choose. Okay? I'll just choose here. Let's say that I want to choose this point. So maybe this is my Y1. Well, it's Y supposed to be in red. I'm sorry. This is my Y1. So this will be my X1. And maybe I want to choose this bottom one. This is my Y2. This is my X2. These are 2 points that I chose. Now all I do is I substitute. So y2 is 35 minus y1, which is 21, over x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 2. All I've done is chosen 2 points. You could have chose this point and the top point. We could have chose the 3 point and then the 1 point. It doesn't matter. We're going to come up with the same answer no matter what. So then 35 minus 21 is going to give me 14. And 4 minus 2 is going to give me 2. And 14 divided by 2 is going to give me a slope of 7 over 1. What does that mean? Well, the Y's represents the charges. Dollars, the bottom represents the miles. That would represent telling me that this is $7 per mile. That's what that slope would tell me right there. Okay, that's what it represents. $7 per 1 mile. It's finding slope from a table. Okay, and if you have to write this X and Y, do it. Make math your own. Okay, however it is that you understand it, make math your own. Of course, there's ways that require less work or that maybe I think that are easier, but it's how you understand it and you perceive it. Okay, so just a recap from today, because we've had a lot of information here. All right, so slope. Slope is rise over run. The change in y over the change in x. We talk about change about from one point to the other, subtracting those points. Okay, it's in a fraction form. Positive slope, your slope goes up. It's a positive number. Negative slope means our slope is going down. It would be a negative number. Slope of 0, you can have a slope of 0, but it's a horizontal slope. Undefined slope. It's kind of like a vertical wall. You cannot jump on a wall. Okay? X equals a number. If you see X equals a number, that should automatically tell you it's an undefined slope. Okay? Can't happen. Finding slope from 2 points. Remember this formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Label your points. Okay, this is a good way to label to tell me, okay, what is y2? Well, y2 is 5. I take that 5, I put it there. I take that 3, I put it there. Okay, label them, and then you solve, and that will give you your slope. Slope from a graph. We're just going to count the rise over run. Pick 2 random points on this graph, and just start counting. How far is it from up one to another one? I call them stair steps. You make stair steps from points to point. You can just count your rise stair step and then your run stair steps. Okay? Yes, slope is used in construction whenever you're cutting out stair steps. Okay, you hear this roof has a pitch of something. Pitch is the same as slope. That tells me the slope of that roof. Okay, so construction workers use slope every day when they're building houses because each roof has a certain pitch. Okay, when you're putting steps on maybe stairs to go upstairs, downstairs, or you're putting steps on a deck outside, you have to know a slope. You have to know a rise and a run to be able to cut these notches for your treads. Okay, there's an example of slope right there in the real world. Formulas, slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M is slope, b is your y-intercept. Whatever m is, that's the slope. Okay, whatever that number is. If it's y equals 4x plus 2, your slope is 4. That's it. Okay, point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Whatever m is, that's your slope. Okay, and then from a table, label your table. Hey, that rhymes. Label your table. Label your table. Okay, make little notes in there. Plug it in your formula. Okay, be able to interpret that table and use that data. All right.